Sorry, things keep popping up. Let's call a special council meeting to order. Dana, if you'd call roll.
Steve is your recording secretary.
Oh, Steve is doing it? Steve,
if that's all right. I mean, actually, the chair gets to choose who the secretary is. I'm prepared to do it.
Yes.
All right.
You can do it.
Klein.
Here.
Comet.
Here.
Charnas.
Here.
Vincent.
Here.
Perry.
Here.
Silver.
Here.
Duber.
Here. New business ordinance 2021-13, ordinance enacting authority for public bodies of Orange Village to continue to conduct virtual meetings and declaring an emergency. This is on for first reading. I'm going to make a motion to suspend the rules. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. I think Alan did that. Hey, Steve, if you call roll.
Klein.
Yes.
Comet.
Here.
Charnas.
Yes.
Vincent.
Yes.
Perry. Perry.
Yes.
Silver.
Yes.
Duber.
Yes. I'll make a motion to pass ordinance 2021-13. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. As you guys are aware, July 1st, this doing it by Zoom goes away. This ordinance kind of does a couple things. One, it allows us to go ahead by Zoom for a little bit longer. It's not something that we're intending on doing for forever, but I think everything's going smooth right now. There's still a pandemic going on, and unless anybody sees a reason otherwise, I think I'm okay with continuing by Zoom for now. With council meetings, same goes for planning and zoning, same goes for the Ready Committee meetings, etc. So this allows all that stuff to continue virtually, which I think helps for everyone right now with COVID as well. So, it does also allow for us down the road, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, that if we do need to call a special council meeting for anything, that we don't all have to rush into Village Hall, that we can do it by Zoom, so long as the chair of the committee allows that to happen. Correct? That's correct.
The one thing I would add is if we want to make it a permanent concept of allowing electronic attendance, not necessarily of the whole body as we're doing now, but as needed, or letting individuals attend as needed, I'd recommend putting it into the codified ordinances if it's a permanent thing. Because we needed to act quickly, I just took what the state law provided and plugged it into our ordinance form. So this isn't a permanent fix for the issue. I imagine that the state legislature is going to consider whether it wants to allow people to attend meetings via electronic format. Obviously they had resisted that before, even though the technology existed before. So it'll be interesting to see what the state does. This just allows you to continue work as you've been doing it for the last year and months. So
I have two questions. Is there an out date on it? I mean, I know it says it allows us to change it back, or this is indefinite as long as we put the ordinance in. That's my first question.
That's correct. What it doesn't do is specifically identify where in the code. I mean, it would go in the council section. If we made it a permanent, that would be, the codified ordinances are for permanent governmental activity. And so if there was some approach that you wanted to take, that's fine. One thing that I have heard was that really you lose a lot of communication via Zoom when you're not in a room together. And so, there's a good policy reason why you might not want to have remote meetings beyond the time of the health. And you should, that's a policy decision that council would make. This policy decision allows you to keep going for an indefinite period of time as you have been.
And then what is the legality against, I mean, is this in violation of what the state's doing? Can the state say to us? Okay,
Now, because you have a charter and because this is a matter of local self-government, the Constitution gives the village the authority to legislate matters of local self-government. And how you conduct your meetings is, in my opinion, you have that authority under the Ohio Constitution. A lot of other communities are doing what you are doing. So, and they're exercising their home rule authority to do that. The state legislature has not seen fit to extend it. So if you're going to do it, this is the way you do it. You pass an ordinance to permit it to occur. The most important legal issue is allowing access by the public to view the communications. And obviously Zoom is a way that has been effective for the last year, over a year. And, whether it's good enough going forward is something that each community can decide for itself, at a later date.
Does it mandate that they have to be able to watch it live or just in playback at some point? Does it have to be, the recording have to be available, or just the notion that somebody can come on live while we're here?
Well, the state law doesn't speak to that issue. The general principle that the Ohio Supreme Court has said, under state law, in order for a council member to be deemed present for a quorum purpose and to vote, they have to be physically present at the meeting. That's under the existing state Open Meetings Act. Because of the pandemic, lots of people have been participating electronically, which is permitted. And lots of people are now exploring exactly what you're doing, which is authorizing electronic meetings based upon what the state had previously permitted.
My only question is.
Yeah.
My only question, and this is kind of open-ended for anybody, if we're not going to meet in person now, like when do we think we would want to meet in person? And the reason I ask is I did a little research on some of the local COVID numbers, and they report, the state of Ohio reports it by zip codes. I looked at the 44122 zip code and the 44022 zip code, which are the two zip codes that Orange Village is in. And there's a combined population between the two of about 50,000. Majority of the people are in those two zip codes. Is it safe to say that, though?
Yes, absolutely.
The combined population of those two zip codes is about 50,000. So that extends into Shaker and Beechwood and Chagrin Falls. So about 50,000 people between those two zip codes. And in the last 30 days, there have been 22 confirmed cases of COVID across those 50,000 people. So, I mean, I know COVID hasn't gone away completely, but I think it's safe to say we're in a good place. And my question is, if we're not meeting in person now, then when do we draw that line to start meeting in person again?
Do you want to meet in person right now?
I would be in favor of it, yes.
Well, my thought is, I mean, it's what everybody, I'm not dictator here, so it's what anybody wants. I think that, again, things are going well at the moment. COVID's still around. I say we just give it a little more time and reevaluate, on a monthly basis kind of thing. I'm not looking to do this for forever. But it's just my 2 cents.
Well,
The
way I read the ordinance, though, I don't think we have to decide, it says that we can, it doesn't say that it must be by a Zoom. And to Brandon's point, I think if we had an issue, let's say the next meeting, there was a major issue, we thought there'd be people coming, we can obviously make it and say it's in person if we all felt that it was better in person, or if it was a light schedule. I mean, that's the way I read the ordinance. Not saying that we're staying on Zoom for a period of time we have to announce when we're coming out of it. I think it gives us the opportunity to say now and going forward, to Steve's point, could be something that we have a special meeting like this, that it's one topic, and instead of calling everyone together, it gives us the opportunity. It could be 2 years from now and say, let's do it by a Zoom. That way everyone can vote, everyone can be there, and we don't have to rush in. So I view it as
My only interjection on this relates to planning commission. because I think there are going to be projects that will be coming forward to the village that having a physical public meeting is going to be important to be able to consider the issue that will be coming before us.
But
Judge,
again, this
I won't-
allows for that, and the
yeah, I
mayor
won't call a
being
Zoom
the chair
meeting
of the-
for that.
The mayor being the chair
Okay,
of
well,
the, of the
My question,
committee.
are we precluded from that? Okay, so
No,
we're not. Okay,
exactly what
all
Alan
right,
just said.
so,
Mhm.
okay, all right. Well, I just want to make sure that that door is open for those kinds of meetings that I think face-to-face is critical to the.
One thing I won't do is I don't like hybrid meetings. It's either all in person or all on Zoom. I don't like
agree.
this. I know when I'm on them, I block the video. I mean, I just am like a passive witness, and I don't like that for meetings. I like the people to talk.
And I agree,
Lisa?
I agree with that,
Oh.
Kathy, and I think it's exactly, I think if we have a meeting that we feel, if we pass this and we have a meeting, say, hey, to Judd's point, this is something we need in person, it's gonna, all there's no gonna be an option, well, I'll zoom in and it's in person or it's on Zoom. I think this
At
gives
least
us
for the ones I
flexibility.
control.
Although sometimes there is a reason that again, it's at the chair of the committee that say if we need to pass something and we have, two council members that are out of the country and one of them is, very, very sick, we don't have enough to vote, then, there's, certain situations where you might be like, hey, we need one to be zooming in. So this allows for those kinds of special
Well, I
circumstances.
think it's,
Or they
I
could
think
phone in.
having options is good.
They could just phone it. I mean, that's another possibility, is
Right.
this would allow that so that if you have unique circumstances, and, an emergency arises and you're gonna have a regular meeting anyway, but the description is, valid. People are out of town and they just cannot attend, but you've got to get something done.
I'm surprised we haven't done this years ago
I think,
for that
Think-
reason alone.
thinking it through, first of all, the Zoom technology, and just to let you know, I think I got frozen out while you guys were having the conversation. It sounded like everybody was talking through a fish tank. So
There's a recording.
good. But I think people didn't think about it that way, and then they didn't. The state law said you couldn't phone it in. So nobody bothered with exercising their home rule authority because they didn't think through, the options that were available.
What happened to the state law that you can't phone it in?
It's still in the state law.
Well,
But
then aren't we violating that?
No, because your home rule authority allows you to supersede state procedural process, state procedures.
Unless it's the building code or unless it's gas and oil wells, unless it's
Well,
plastic bags.
If the legislature has granted a right to somebody, so it's sort of a substance procedure difference. You cannot, let's say the state makes heroin unlawful. You would not have the authority, because it's a police power, you would not have the authority in Orange Village to declare heroin to be lawful. But in your open meeting code, under state law, if there's a violation of the Open Meetings Act, it invalidates the action taken. Under the village's ordinance, if there is a technical violation, an unintentional violation under your ordinance, it's not immediately available to be declared invalid. So this is an area of law that you do have some home rule authority. I just don't think people considered, actually implementing an ordinance to implement it, because 9 times out of 10, state law is fine in terms of what it provides.
If we don't pass this, then we don't have an option at all to go back to the Zoom, correct? Unless we revisit.
Correct. We're in person for our next meeting if we don't pass this tonight.
So this really, it doesn't force us to do Zoom. It just gives us the option if we decide we want it in the future.
Right.
I don't have a problem with it. Just my personal 2 cents. I know Lisa's been trying to chime in for a bit.
Thank you.
And my only
Wait,
concern
hold
is how,
on, Judd, hold on.
something could
Lisa,
look at.
Lisa's talking. Lisa's talking.
Oh,
Sorry,
Okay, can you all hear me?
kind of.
Yes,
Sorry, I don't know why it's so weak, but I was thinking the hybrid situation was going to be confusing, but it is nice kind of to have that option. Being somebody who missed many months with a broken leg at home, it would have been nice to just Zoom in. But my only concern is that we may be tempted to abuse this over a period of time. I don't disagree that it might be, to everybody's best interest to continue doing this for a few more months until we're even less in numbers, just to be on the super safe side. But I also don't want to see us take advantage of, doing this because it's so convenient. And there is stuff lost by not meeting in person. So my best, I will vote yes for this, but I would also like to consider limiting it for 6 more months and then revisiting it again, rather than making it indefinite, where I feel like there's a potential possibility of taking advantage of it.
Yeah, but if we limit it, then that takes away the situation that we were just talking about if there's a situation where we need to call a quick meeting or you break your leg and you need to be out like that if we're going to limit it, then that nullifies all of that.
That's true.
well, there's
But
nothing.
I'm just telling you from
there's
a
nothing-
policy standpoint, I mean, look, I'm not looking to do this. I can tell you, I'm not looking to do this by Zoom for forever. I just, as much as I really trust our government in Columbus to, make sure everybody's safe, healthy, and does the right thing, I don't trust our government in Columbus. No, but I just don't see a reason at the moment, but I'm not looking to do this for forever. But
Can I make 2 points, Brandon?
Sure.
First of all, there's nothing that precludes us from sometime in the future is rescinding this legislation and going and taking it off the books. I think it gives us a lot of flexibility for the future that we may not anticipate what things could happen down the road that would necessitate our wanting to meet remotely as we have for the last year or so. The
Judd?
second thing that,
Judd,
Yes.
on that point, I could totally understand limiting, the voting members or not taking votes from Zoom. But I think that technology is here to stay. And what if we had an applicant for planning and zoning who had a broken leg or something? Couldn't they call in over Zoom? We can see them and talk to them. I mean, I could see that
Well,
as a potential use ongoing.
yeah, but that I think comes with this legislation sort of being in place. If we
Yeah, which is why I
rescind
would
it,
rescind it. Yeah.
My recommendation is to put this in effect tonight and continue to monitor and consider it. And then at some point, maybe by year end, decide the policy question of do you want to make something permanent and therefore put it on the books as a codified ordinance, whatever that policy is, or take it off the books. I mean, if you don't want any of it, but I don't think that's a decision that needs to be made this evening. The only decision that needs to be made is do we keep doing this now?
well, I don't see the problem with it being there as a standing operational rule for council and for any other committees of the village. And having the flexibility to be able to say, yes, we can meet in person, or we will continue to meet remotely as we have now. The only other question that I had, and this goes to Steve, is this, this constant battle with the state over what home rule is and what you're limited to do under that regulation. We've had situations in the past that the state has stepped in and said, no, you can't do that. And I don't understand how this is different in this particular situation from some of those previous ones that we've encountered, the building code, adoption of the fire sprinkler systems, the bag ordinance, and there was another issue, as I recall,
Guns.
that
Guns in the parks.
and guns, yeah, gun sales, gun control, things like that. That individual communities can't exercise home rule in determining their own interests in these things and why this is so different.
Yeah, I don't, let's all think back to the Civics 101 class. And we have Article 18, that's Section 3, that says two provisions. One is municipalities have all powers of local self-government, and then such police powers that do not conflict with the state law. So if the state gives a right, either to someone to carry a gun or drill an oil or gas well or whatever, drive a car, you can't stop the exercise of the state granted right. So that's in the police power area. We cannot conflict with state law. With respect to the ban on the bag, or whatever it is, bag the ban or ban the bag, I can't keep track. The state law gives the right to people to use plastic in commerce. And so when it does that, when it's phrased that way, you can't interfere with it. When the state tries to tell you what you can do as a matter of local self-government, your charter and ordinances trump that. So under state law, villages do not have recall. If you're a statutory village, the elected officials are there for the duration of the term unless you follow one of the procedures to get them out through court action. Under your ordinances, or excuse me, under your charter, you have a recall provision, which in fact has been used not that long ago, in the late 80s. And so by having a charter, an authority of the electorate that wouldn't exist under state law does exist under your ordinance. That goes to the home rule question. The people of Orange Village are ultimately supreme in how they conduct their local government. And we've seen that in the rule on open meetings. The city of Cleveland used to have a charter provision that said
Steve, I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off. I know that there's a couple of people who have time constraints tonight, and this is a great history lesson on everything. Moral of the story is this is legal, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Does anybody have any other questions except for whether or not this is legal or want to discuss anything else on this besides the
Just a
legality?
this is very quick. Can they be phoned or video, or does it not matter? In other words, like Judd right now is not on video.
It's what the chair decides. And as of right now, it'd be the same thing as we've been doing, which is phone and video.
Right.
So yes. Any other questions? Okay. All right. Now the chair decides we vote. Steve, call roll, please.
Don't you need a motion to adopt?
I already did.
We got it.
Okay.
Klein,
Yes.
Comet,
Yes.
Jarnes,
Yes.
Vincent,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Silver.
I think we should be meeting in person, but I'll vote yes because I like having the option available.
Huber.
Yes. There's no audience, so there's no comments. So I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thanks. Do we have to make a motion, Steve? If we just,
You don't have to, but you did. So
well, okay. Then call roll on it.
who seconded it?
I did.
Thanks. Klein,
Yes.
Comet,
Yes.
Jarnes,
Yes.
Vincent,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Silver,
Yes.
Huber.
Yes. Good night.
Bye, guys.
Happy
Yeah.
4th of July.
Thank you.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you. And happy 4th of July, everybody.